Anyway, we move away from this and we'll bring you what we will focus on in our community today. I'm sure that if you are a motorist, you're a driver, you may one way or the other may have used the Mallam Interchange, if only you are in Accra. You know the current state of the Mallam Interchange. If you are driving on that interchange and you do not slow down, you are either going to get your tire removed or maybe you'd have to park on the interchange and walk home. Well, let's bring you this report that was filed by my colleague Shiba Arababeni in the City Newsroom and the ChannelOne Newsroom, and bring you that report, what she saw there when she went there and filed that report. So let's bring you that report.
Constructed as part of the Tetekwashi Mallam Road project under the Millennium Challenge account, the Mallam overpass was officially commissioned in February 2012. What should be a quick and smooth drive has now become a slow, stressful experience. The most basic tools of navigation have all but vanished. Road markings have faded into the grey pavement and directional signs have been washed clean by the elements. For drivers unfamiliar with the stretch, this lack of guidance is no longer just inconvenient, it is dangerous. The impact is so jarring that vehicles are forced to slow to a near stop to cross safely. Even ambulances carrying patients in critical condition are forced to crawl over the exposed joints.
This road has been very bad. If I'm not lying, about 2 years now, this is what we have been experiencing. On the other one going towards Makati Hill, when we make a noise some time ago, the manager covered those. The construction joint has been exposed, so you can't drive. Even you can see the pins, or it can damage the tire at any time.
Especially in the night, one, there is no light here. Two, when somebody is driving, because of this, the person needs to slow down.
Rather than risk damage from the exposed expansion joint, some motorists are now abandoning the overpass entirely.
But full. Until that end that no fancy and I'm a jackpot was nothing, especially so with speed kakra or tiny bomber, no bona abam.
That but you share maintenance about on channel on Yamaye, now young and toy. Because of the maintenance, no, and not me far down.
But me fast one, I'm not laying on my head. Madam can't dump on a penna, a Janny Dumia, a Janny Dumia, Miss Faki, and so. But we now say risky. Kasaka sent body say bridging him.
However, the Director General of the National Road Safety Authority, Abraham Amaleba, says he will engage the Ghana Highways Authority to urgently address the situation.
Clearly, what I've seen poses a danger to vehicles that ply that road. You could easily puncture your tire from what I've seen. And if you're on top speed, this can easily throw you away from the height that that problem is. So now that you have drawn my attention to it, we here in this authority will quickly collaborate with the Highways Authority.
Whether you're heading to Kaswa, back to La Paz, or heading down to Sakaman, there are still sections of the Mallam Interchange with very visible expansion joints that are causing drivers to slow down and also possibly cause accidents. All these only add up to the fact that the Mallam Interchange needs more than patchwork. It needs major renovation and maintenance. Reporting for ChannelOne News, I am Shiba Arababeni.
And of course, that report was filed by Shiba Arababeni, a very important report there, because if you are moving on the N1 highway and you are going to Wager, definitely you use that interchange, or you are moving from Bayard through to Dansoman or through to Mallam Market, you definitely use that interchange. Or if you are coming from Wager to Mallam, or you are going to Dansoman, you may want to also use that interchange, or going to La Paz or going to Kwashiman, you use that interchange. But fortunately, we have the immediate past president of the Ghana Institution of Engineering. We also have the chief executive for ACON, that is Associated Consultant Limited, a man who wears many hats. Engineer Kabina Bimpon is joining us. Engineer Bimpon, good morning.
Good morning.
You wear many hats. I don't know which one to give to, whether you are the project manager or the project resident engineer for the Pokwase Interchange, or chief resident engineer for Accra to Motorway, or which of them should I give to you, Engineer Wimport, now?
Well, for today's discussion, I think that it will be okay to call me an engineer who desires to see our country develop.
Beautiful. Okay, so we will mention you like that then. But Engineer Wimport, I'm sure you've seen the Mallam Interchange and the state in which it is now. What will you say about it?
Well, thank you very much. Yes, I have, and indeed, I traveled on it last. I will not say last, around 140. Yes, I'm just trying to be exact. So I went over it, and of course, I have been over the interchange a few times, and just as was said in your report, it is in a very deplorable state. All the joints have failed. And in the attempt to correct it, the Ghana Highway Authority did some overlay works. But that, in my view, worsened the situation, because that created even deeper gaps, on the expansion joints. So that is what, I agree with what others, have said, because this is something that is not safe, even though it is required as part of the bridge works. I think that it has not been well maintained.
Ideally, what should have been done to get it well maintained?
Well, if you left it to me, yes, the surface deteriorated. But then if it were what I would have requested that they do was to mill off the asphaltic layer. Because, usually the concrete is overlaid by asphalt. So if the asphalt has failed, all we need to do, or was required to do, was to remove the asphalt layer and then to repair the joints. These joints are required for what we call thermal expansion, or generally we call them movement joints, braking forces of the trucks or vehicles on the bridges.
Okay, so I think that unfortunately we lost Engineer Bimpon there, but we will try and work around the lines and bring him back online again, so that we can have a conversation with him. So that particular interchange that we are talking about has been in a very deplorable state for a very long time. And if you heard what Engineer Bimpon made mention of the facts there, in a way for the Ghana Highway Authority to go there and get the situation fixed, rather it's become sort of worse, which has to be corrected. And I think that the earlier the better if something is done about it, because it's very, very difficult for motorists to use that stretch if they are moving from one point to the other. Chris, have you used that stretch before?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, fine.
Yes,
so
and your tires will be shaking.
Yes.
And it's bumpety.
And there is a vehicle behind you. If you do not take care, that vehicle will run into you, and you will end up trying to now get some money to also get the issue resolved. But fortunately, we have Engineer Bimpon coming back online or on phone to have a conversation with us. So, Engineer Bimpon, you can continue from where you left off. We're talking about what could have been done better to maintain the interchange.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm far away. I think Kushia.
Oh.
And so.
Well, are you expecting a road project there?
No. We have the engineering village.
Okay.
That was we have the land that was offered to us by Nana Prajan Sem the Sixth, and we are here to take over the land. Okay. So as I was saying, so there are two ways in which they could have done. We would have milled off the asphaltic layer, which will not be more than 75 millimeters, and then relaid it at the same level, so that we wouldn't have the challenges that we were having. But then, if the other thing would also have been that we'll take out the joints and put in new ones. But then now that they have overlaid, especially the one that is on the N1, N1, yes, over the bridge, I think that the joints can be repaired, because they've already done the overlay. Either we cut it off and then do new expansion joints, because I understand that there are about 95 of them, so that can easily be done. Because these are very critical structural components of bridges, because if you do not have expansion joints properly, done, you could have, the failure of the bridge as a result of the thermal expansion, creep, shrinkage, and all the things that I talked about. Because bridges move, they move. Just temperature can cause the bridge to expand. So we need these joints to ensure that they move without cracking. So if it is critical, then why don't we safeguard the life of the bridge or of the interchange by repairing them?
Okay, so especially when you were part of the contractors or the consultant or the project chief resident engineer for the Pokwase interchange and also for the Swami projects now. So you've been talking a lot more about maintenance. Do you think that we are doing well as a country when it comes to maintaining our roads and bridges?
I think that there is a lot to be done. There's a lot to be done. And I think that over the past few years, we seem to have concentrated on building new, facilities, including even the Pokwase interchange. But then when it comes to maintenance, we have not done very well. I know the current, administration has, earmarked some monies for the maintenance of roads infrastructure. So I'm hoping that in as much as we like to have new things, it is important that we maintain them, because if we do not maintain them at the, to the state at which it was designed, then you might as well not have built them. So it's something that is dear to the heart of the engineering community. Because look, whatever we are doing, I'll call them, they are man-made, and there could be flaws even in design or in construction. So after construction, there's a need for us to correct those flaws, or where there is, wear and tear, we need to reinstate them to their to their design level or post construction levels. But then, if we leave them to deteriorate, then it will get to a time we may need to we don't just rehabilitate, then we may need to do reconstruction. And that is more expensive than maintaining them. And like the old adage goes, a stitch in time saves nine.
Yeah. Right. So, engineer, what are the basic tips of maintenance of a road like this?
Or an interchange like this?
Yes. So, because this is a concrete structure, these joints, let me start from the top. What we see, the first one is the surface. The surface quality must be pristine. The joints, and even as I speak, the Pokwase interchange, some people have even stolen. I am not saying that it is just something that the government would have to do, but then at Pokwase, somebody has stolen a portion of the joints, which is a steel member, it's a steel plate on top of it, and that ensures that you can have smooth ride, between one part of the interchange or the deck and the other. Okay, so we need to continuously maintain them. Now, the second one has to do with the lighting, on these structures. Yes, a lot of them do not have lighting, and when you travel in the night, it is between you and your God. Then road line marking, very critical, because as I always say, road line marking communicates with the driver, because to have a good driving experience, there's a need for you to be able to communicate well with the road, including the road signs. Now, there are times also when we have vehicles knocking or crashing into the safety barriers, that is the New Jersey barriers, especially for the bridges. And that has happened probably one or twice on the Mallam Interchange. You see, when they knock them, there's a need for us to repair them, because if you don't repair them and the reinforcement is exposed, then that becomes the point from where the whole concrete structure will begin to deteriorate further. In Pokwase, we have a similar thing. A vehicle hits into it, but then we've not done anything there. And even the others that we do not see, they are underneath, but those are more like the I don't know whether this would you don't see them, but then they have what we call the bearings. They are bearings. They have different types of bearings, which are under the bridges, but these are not the routine kind of maintenance that we do. There's something we have to continuously, inspect. And then the general ambience, within the interchange, especially the, weeding and, those little cleaning and all those things are important to ensure that our interchanges, which we spend so much money, in building, are maintained.
Well, so you also spoke about the road appurtenances without having destroyed. Recently, I used the Ofankor side of the Ofankor to Isawam Highway, and I noticed that the crash barriers are now falling off all of a sudden.
Well, yes, I've seen that. That is at White House.
Yes, White House, yes.
Yeah, White House. Yeah, this was installed only a few weeks ago, but then a vehicle ran into it. And yes, it has performed its function. It was placed there to ensure that in the event of an errant vehicle, okay, that will save the lives and of the occupants, and also to save the property, which is the vehicle. So yes, it has performed its function. But then, after it has performed its function, what we need to do is to restore. And I know the contractor will be restored because it has not been handed over as yet. So they will have to go back and then get it fixed. And then, if you go along the N6, even from let's say from Achimota, okay, yes, or New Plan, you see that a lot of them have been knocked and nobody has reinstated them, and then they fall into the road and become safety hazard, because if you are not careful, you will probably be run into them. So something that is required or meant to save us becomes a weapon to kill us.
As an engineer that you've worked on a number of roads and interchanges, let me use the Mallam Interchange as an example. For how many years, ideally, was it created for, or was it constructed for it to last?
Oh, as for the structure, there's no problem. A structure of this kind is designed for about 100 years.
Wow.
Yes, it is designed for that. But then you need to constantly maintain the wear and tear parts. Okay, so it's not as if that you design and then that is all. Yes, the road can be there, and all you need to do is to ensure that you keep it in the pristine position. Otherwise, the lack of maintenance can cause the life of the pavement, of the bridge, to be reduced, and that is not what we want. Otherwise, then there will be no proper return on the investment that we do.
But do you also think that as citizens we have a role to play, though the government has to do its part by maintaining these facilities or the infrastructure? As citizens and motorists, what role will you say that we have to play in this?
This is a very good question.
We lost him again.
We lost Engineer Bimpon there. Engineer Bimpon, I don't know if he can come back and answer that question briefly, then we can wrap up with him, because we want to know what we can also do as citizens to support the effort of the government. It's not always the government, because, mind you, there are funds that are supposed to be generated for these roads or these bridges to be fixed. We are complaining about deployable roads in areas and all that. So, fortunately, he's back on again. So, Engineer Bimpon, we're asking what, as citizens, we can also do to help the government effort, or to augment the government effort in maintaining facilities like these.
Okay. Well, and I was saying that it was a very good question.
Yeah.
Some time back, I wrote a paper, okay, on the maintenance of our roads at an infrastructure conference which was held, in Ghana. And in that paper, I did talk about the first thing is about we, the citizens. If you see something, say something. We see these accidents, sometimes they are not reported, and they just run off because they just come and take their vehicle and go. At least report to the police. Let the police be aware that, even though, by law, when there's an accident, the driver has to report to the police. And I'm also thinking that there should be a system where you'll be surcharged for causing damage. I would say that you are helping to restore that which saved you. Because maybe if it is no more there, or it is destroyed by your vehicle, maybe the next time it might not be you, but it could be your family member. But because that structure would not be there in terms of, for instance, the barriers, then you would lose the person. Now, the next one is also with the police. When these things happen, they should ensure that it is escalated, whether to the insurance companies or to the agencies, so that the culprits can be apprehended. You know, when you go to Dubai, when you knock down a street light, you pay 10 times, and you can check. You can check. So there's discipline. You know, sometimes I don't want to get into the driver behavior, but then I think that it's something that we need to be cautious of, so we don't overspeed and lose our things. Yeah, I mean, you know, accidents are multifactorial events, but that's why I don't want to go there for now. Now, in the paper, I also said that all these vehicles which cause damages to our road infrastructure through accidents are insured, aren't they? Or they are supposed to be insured. So why shouldn't the insurance commission, the National Insurance Commission, also contribute to the kitty for these, repairs or to the maintenance of the roads? Yes, we all have a road, but then at the end of the day, the road has to, it does not generating any income apart from the toll roads. So why don't the National Insurance Commission pay something to the road agency so that they will repair some simple things like crash barriers? Yeah, if it is the pavement, that is a different matter. But even with the pavement, I have always seen and maintained that sometimes the way we use this road infrastructure is as if, you know, if it were your own building or your own infrastructure, you wouldn't do that. People use jacks. You know, jack for lifting. When you have a problem, you put a jack directly on the asphalt, and then you jack, and then it creates an indent. Asphalt is not concrete. Even if it is concrete, it could crack. So we should stop that. Let us have a base, maybe timber, that will be able to spread the loading. Then also, we try to repair trucks on the road or vehicles on the road, and then we put in a lot of oils and fuels and all those things. Bitumen has, asphalt has bitumen in it, and fuel is a solvent. It will just go and cause the bitumen to dissolve, and when it dissolves, it is going to create challenges for us. So these are, the few points that I would want us as citizens to be aware of. And of course, we are all road users, and I know that the road agencies are also road. They know, but then the government should, allocate a lot more funding for road maintenance.
Wow. Thank you so much, Engineer Bimpo. We are grateful for your time, and we wish you all the best in the place that you are now too, and participate in an exercise there. And he has said that, well, the government should release more funds for road maintenance, and also citizens or motorists, we should play our role. The insurance companies should also play their role, so that we can be able to get our roads and bridges done properly and maintained well. It's the maintenance. It's not about constructing it or getting it done. It's the maintenance. And Engineer Bimpo, I know very well, when he did the Pokwase interchange, he was always very vocal on it. If not for the fact that we do not have enough time on the show, we would have spoken about a number of things, the spaces beneath the interchanges, what they are supposed to be used for when it comes to the Accra-Kumasi Highway, the project, how the project is going, also the Ofankor one, among other projects that I would have spoken about on the show. But I think it's an interesting one that he has said. He has indicated that the Ghana Highways Authority tried doing it, which they did, but at least it could have been done in a better way. And also motorists, they are lamenting. If I use my stretch myself, I'm scared, because even if you are using it in the evening and you do not know the road very well, now we do not drive by sight, we drive by memory. When you are driving on the stretch, you need to keep the nature of the road in your mind, so that the next minute you are driving on the road and there isn't light there, you know that, oh, there is pothole here. You know, if you drive on the straight stretch for a very long time, you know where the pothole is, you know where the speed ramp is, and you know where you that's it. So basically that. So maybe the Ghana Highways Authority would have to do what is needed with the Ministry of Roads and Highways together, and the engineers there. Maybe consult these individuals and get maybe how best we can go about it to get the issue resolved. But